The fear of rejection isn't weakness. It's a whisper from your soul saying, please don't abandon me again, trying to earn what should be given. So my friends, today we flip the script, because the truth is most of what you've been told about love, it's a beautifully packaged lie with a toxic little bow on top. Be sexier, be sweeter, be quieter, be less, be more. Exhausted yet? Welcome to Mentalidad Elevada, where we cut through the noise, we speak from the soul, and we tell the truth even when it stings. If you're ready to stop begging for breadcrumbs and start radiating a presence that magnetizes real love without the games, you're in the right place. So do me a favor, press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you might just wake up something ancient and powerful inside you. Hey ladies, imagine this. You're walking through a garden. Everything is blooming. Birds are singing. Butterflies are flitting around. And there he is, a man sitting under a tree staring at you. You walk with grace. You're glowing. He stands up, drawn toward you. You haven't even said a word. You didn't smile extra hard. You didn't twist yourself into a cute version of what you think he wants. You just are. That's the power I'm talking about. That's magnetic presence. Now imagine another woman nearby. She's got flash. She's working hard, laughing a little too loud, asking all the questions, waiting for validation with every glance. He sees her, but he can't stop looking at you. You see, attraction isn't about putting on a performance. It's about breaking the spell of needing to be chosen. You don't attract love by chasing it. You attract it when you become the one who doesn't need to be picked to feel valuable. You've been told to shrink your power and call it femininity, to be small, agreeable, available, low maintenance. You've been told that a good woman bends. But my friends, when you bend too far for too long, you break. What if I told you the most irresistible woman isn't the one who gives him everything? She's the one who gives him nothing he hasn't earned. And what breaks a man's ego in the best way? Not rejection, your indifference to his sexual power. Because deep inside every man, whether he admits it or not, is a hidden belief that his charm, his attention, and yes, his sexuality has the ability to move you, shake you, make you chase. But when you don't flinch, when you smile, thank him, and walk away with peace in your eyes and zero desperation in your soul, you crack that illusion. He's left questioning, why didn't she try to impress me? What does she know that I don't? Who is she? And let me tell you something, when a man doesn't feel in control of the dynamic, he becomes consumed by it. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about playing games or becoming emotionally cold. This is about returning to yourself so powerfully that he feels uninvited into your temple, unless he comes with real effort, with real presence, and with real respect. My friends, there's nothing wrong with wanting love. There's nothing weak about desiring connection. But love built on performance is a house made of matchsticks. We are not performing anymore. From this moment on, your energy is sacred, your attention is earned, and your worth already complete. Stay with me, because in this series, we're going deeper. We're going to uncover the exact ways to activate this shift in you, not by becoming more, but by reclaiming what you already are. So if that hits somewhere deep in your chest, like a truth you forgot, but somehow always knew, go ahead and like this video, subscribe for more, and remember, you are not here to be picked. You are here to choose. Number one, the sexual ego, his most fragile power. Every man wants to feel desired, but the moment he believes he's your only source of desire, the spell breaks. My friends, we're stepping into the ring now, not to fight, but to understand power, real power, the kind that doesn't raise its voice, doesn't chase, doesn't beg, the kind that sits in stillness while everything else rearranges itself around it. Today we're talking about the one thing men don't want you to understand, the sexual ego, not his love, not his mind, not even his body, but the fragile little throne where all his desire, confidence, and illusion of control sits. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a king in his golden robe sitting high on his throne. The room is silent. All eyes are on him. Everyone's waiting on his command. He's used to being praised, feared, desired. But then, one day, a woman walks in. She doesn't bow. She doesn't flirt. She doesn't even look impressed. She simply walks through the palace like she belongs there, like she owns the place. That king suddenly feels naked. That throne starts shaking. Not because she attacked him, but because she didn't need him. That, my friends, is what happens when you touch a man's sexual ego, and not with your hands, but with your disinterest in his performance. And now you might be asking, but isn't it good to make a man feel wanted? Of course, wanting someone is beautiful, but needing someone to validate your worth, that's where the imbalance begins. And men can smell that need from a mile away. Let's be real. You've probably been there. You meet someone, the chemistry feels electric. He turns on the charm, says the right things, maybe touches your arm in just the right way. And somewhere in the back of your mind, the thought creeps in. I hope he picks me. I hope he still texts tomorrow. That tiny whisper of self-doubt is the moment you start slipping. Not because you aren't valuable, but because you start letting him define your value. And trust me, he knows it. He may not say it, he may not even fully understand it himself, but when a man senses that his flirtation, his attention, or his sexuality makes you spin, he takes a deep breath of that power. He feels in control. But here's the plot twist. When he flirts and you smile, but your eyes say, "I've seen better," his ego twitches. When he touches your arm and you don't melt, but instead lean back slightly with grace, his ego stumbles. When he sends that late night "you up" text and you don't reply at all, you didn't reject him, you dethroned him. You see, his sexual ego isn't about sex. It's about dominance. It's about feeling irreplaceable. And the moment you stop offering that pedestal, his brain goes into overdrive. And wait, why didn't she respond? Did I lose her? Who else has her attention? That, my friends, is the beginning of obsession. Not love, not even lust, but the desperate, silent panic of someone who thought he had control, only to realize he never did. And listen, I know there's a part of you that might fear this idea, but if I don't show interest, won't he think I'm cold? What if he walks away? Let him, because if your presence is only valuable when it's submissive to his sexual energy, you were never being seen. You were being consumed, and you are not here to be consumed. You are here to be witnessed, desired, respected, and chosen by someone who sees you in your full power, not just your availability. So what do? You sit back on your own throne. You let him wonder. You let him reach. You radiate the kind of quiet confidence that says, yes, I'm a woman who can love deeply, but not foolishly. You stop feeding his ego and you start nourishing your own soul. And when you do that, you don't just change how he sees you, you change how you see you. Stay with me, because next we're going deeper into the mind of the predictable woman and why the ones who are too easy to understand are the first to be forgotten. And I know you're not here to be forgotten. So go ahead. If this woke something up in you, press that like button, hit subscribe, and remember, you're not here to be his fantasy. You're here to become his reality on your terms. Number 2, performance is for actors. Presence is for goddesses. You don't attract a man by proving your worth. You attract by radiating the knowing that your worth isn't up for debate. Let's talk about this obsession with being enough. Enough for who, though? A man who doesn't even know what he truly wants most of the time. A man still caught in the maze of his own ego and shadow. My friends, let's be real. You were never supposed to audition for love. But somewhere along the way, dating became a stage. You learned how to perform. The flirty laugh, the perfect text timing, the strategic silence followed by the accidental selfie. It's a whole production, isn't it? And yet, after all that effort, he still lost interest. Why? Because performance is impressive, but it isn't magnetic. And imagine you're walking into a room, heels clicking, perfume soft and warm in the air. One woman is dazzling, loud, perfectly styled, clearly working the room. She's giving off "look at me" energy. Then over in the corner, there's you, sitting calm, soft-spoken, but grounded. You're not trying to take up space. You are space. You're not seeking approval. You're holding your own gaze. And suddenly he sees you. And here's the truth. He doesn't know why he can't stop watching you. He just knows he can't. That's presence. That's what the ego doesn't expect and can't resist. And when you stop performing, something sacred happens. You start listening to yourself. You hear your breath again. You move slower, speak with intention, smile less. But when you do, it's real. You become the woman he remembers in silence, not the one he forgets in noise. And yes, I get it. There's fear there. If I don't try, won't I miss my chance? But let me offer you this. The real you is the most powerful chance you'll ever have. A man falls for a woman not when she fits his fantasy, but when she shakes his reality, when she stands so deeply in her self-worth that it forces him to rise or step back. So don't dim your light trying to choreograph the perfect performance. Let it shine naturally, unfiltered, unpredictable. That's what makes you unforgettable. Now stay with me, because next we're going to meet the enemy of your presence, the fear of rejection. And I promise you, it's not your weakness, it's your greatest opportunity. Number 3, fear of rejection, the wound that makes you overgive. Rejection only stings when you believe it defines you. Let's go straight into the wound, shall we? Because if we're honest, many of the things we've done in the name of love weren't really about love at all. They were about avoiding rejection. That slow, creeping fear that says, if he doesn't choose me, what does that say about me? My friends, that voice isn't love. It's abandonment disguised in lipstick. And you see, rejection doesn't hurt because he walked away. It hurts because deep down, some part of you whispers, maybe he saw something in me that wasn't enough. And that's the moment you start scrambling. You overgive, trying to win him back. You over-explain, trying to justify your feelings. You overstay, hoping that your loyalty will eventually earn you the affection you're not receiving. But here's the truth. You can't heal a fear of being left by clinging harder to what's leaving. Imagine holding a rose. It's beautiful, but its petals are falling, slowly wilting, and still you grip it tighter, hoping that if you hold it just right, it'll bloom again. But the tighter you hold, the more it crumbles in your hands. That's what overgiving does. That's what fear does. It convinces you that if you just do more, you'll finally be safe. But real safety doesn't come from being accepted. It comes from accepting yourself, even in the face of being rejected. When you realize rejection is not a mirror of your worth, but a reflection of someone else's readiness or lack thereof, something powerful shifts inside you. Suddenly, you're not afraid to walk away. And that, my friend, is when you become magnetic. Because the woman who can walk away doesn't chase. She doesn't plead. She doesn't fear the silence. And she trusts that her value remains, whether he sees it or not. That energy, it disarms the ego. It whispers, I'd love for you to choose me, but I'll never beg for it. And in that space of certainty, you attract not from desperation, but from divinity. Stay close, because next we're diving into the subtle art of breaking his ego without saying a single word. You're going to learn the moment where power shifts and desire deepens. Number 4, interrupt his power, withdraw when he expects control. The moment he feels certain of you, he stops working for you. My friends, let's talk about rhythm. Not the sweet romantic rhythm they write about in love songs, but the unspoken beat in every relationship. It's the pattern. He gives a little, you give a lot. He pulls back, you lean in. He acts distant. And suddenly you're performing emotional CPR just to feel seen again. Sound familiar? This pattern isn't love. It's a dance of ego and control. And unless you interrupt the beat, you'll keep spinning in circles, giving your power away one good morning text at a time. Let's break the rhythm. Picture this. You've been consistent, warm, affectionate, maybe even overly available. And just when the connection feels strong, he pulls away. Not rudely, just shifts. Less energy, less intention, fewer words. Now instinct screams, don't lose this, prove you're worthy, reconnect. But here's where your power lives, not in the pursuit, but in the pause. Withdraw, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to reset the energy. Because when he expects you to respond and you don't, when he thinks he's got you emotionally on call, endlessly available, and you vanish with elegance and no explanation, his ego panics. Suddenly the energy shifts. You're no longer his emotional guarantee. The game he thought he mastered now feels unfamiliar. And that unfamiliarity, that's where attraction lives. And let's be real. A man doesn't crave what he's confident he owns. He craves the woman he can't quite predict. The woman who smiles, connects, gives, and then disappears just as effortlessly. It's not about cruelty. It's about contrast. About reminding him that your world doesn't orbit around his attention. You become the mystery, the unanswered question, the woman he thought he understood until you stopped responding on cue. And don't worry, my sisters, I know it takes courage. I know it stirs old fears. Will he forget me? No, he'll remember you more in your silence than he ever did in your performance. Because space doesn't make you less magnetic. It makes you unforgettable. So stay with me, because next we're going to talk about silence, not as absence, but as the most powerful language you've ever spoken. And once you learn how to master it, he won't just want you, he'll need you. Number 5, sacred silence. Let your absence speak for you. What you don't say can haunt him more than anything you ever did. Silence. The very word can feel sharp, uncomfortable, almost threatening, especially when you're used to filling every space with explanation, with proof of your love, with apologies you didn't need to make. But my friends, today you're going to learn something that flips your entire understanding of connection on its head. Silence is not weakness, it's sacred strategy. You see, most men expect a certain reaction. They know the playbook. They send the vague message, act distant, toss out crumbs of affection, and wait. Because in the past, you probably responded. You leaned in, you gave. You made excuses for his emotional laziness and called it patience. But what happens when the woman he thought he could predict suddenly doesn't react? It unravels him. Imagine his ego like a house of mirrors, designed to reflect only admiration, praise, validation. But when you go quiet, when you don't explain, don't beg, don't try to decode his mixed signals, the mirrors crack, and he's forced to look at himself, not just your reactions. That silence becomes a vacuum, a void. And voids, my friend, are where obsession grows. Not because you've done something dramatic, but because you didn't. There's a line I want you to remember. Your silence must feel like presence withdrawn, not absence given. It's the kind of quiet that makes him check his phone again and again, the kind that makes him replay your last words in his mind, wondering what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and why he suddenly feels irrelevant. This isn't cold-hearted, it's precise, it's surgical. You're not screaming to hurt his ego. You're letting his ego collapse under its own weight because your energy, your attention, your voice were never free samples. They were gifts. And now you've stopped giving. So don't flinch when the silence feels heavy. Let it linger. Let it work. While he's waiting for the fireworks of a dramatic response, you offer him the stillness of a woman who doesn't need to prove anything. And that will confuse him, disturb him, and yes, begin to obsess him. Stay right here with me, because next we're stepping into the most powerful question you'll ever ask in love. Not does he want me, but do I even want him? That's when everything changes. Number 6, the shift from being chosen to doing the choosing. A woman who knows her worth doesn't ask, does he want me? She asks, do I even want him? Let's flip the script, my friends, because for too long, too many powerful women have been stuck in the role of the audition. You dress up your heart, practice your best lines, and walk onto the stage hoping someone in the audience chooses you, hoping you're enough. But what if I told you you were never meant to be cast in someone else's story? You are the author, the director, the lead. This is your life, your energy, your emotional kingdom. And you're the chooser, not the one waiting to be chosen. Now I know at first that feels radical, maybe even uncomfortable, because society taught you to ask, does he like me? Did I say too much? Was I too available? But these questions aren't innocent. They are survival mode strategies built from rejection wounds. They keep you shrinking, second-guessing, shape-shifting. And guess who senses that energy? He does. Every time. And now imagine a different energy. Imagine walking into a connection without trying to impress, without hoping to fit into his idea of ideal. Instead, you observe, you decide, you hold your standards not like a sword, but like a quiet crown. He feels that presence, that selectiveness, and suddenly the tables turn, because when a man isn't sure if he's won you, he tries harder, not out of confusion, but out of instinct. You see, the male ego, especially the sexual ego, is wired to conquer. It wants to earn, to prove, to win. But most women make themselves emotionally available far too early, handing him the trophy before he's even run the race. Don't give him the prize just for showing up. Make him earn your attention, not with money or moves, but with presence, consistency, respect, and truth. And if he doesn't meet that bar, then you, with full grace, move on, because not every man deserves to witness the full unfolding of, a woman who's done the work. So from now on, stop asking, does he want me? Start asking, is he capable of holding the woman I've become? Stay with me, because up next, we're going to dive into the one thing that will shake his ego to its core without a single insult, thriving in silence. No drama, just elevation. Number 7, let him feel the weight of losing you without punishment. You don't hurt a man by screaming. You hurt him by thriving silently. This is the part they never expect, the part where you stop trying to make him understand, stop demanding closure, stop explaining your worth with tear-stained texts or late-night calls. You don't lash out, you don't break down, you just rise. And my friends, that is what breaks his ego in a way he never saw coming. We've been taught that walking away means turning your back with dramatic music playing in the background. But true emotional power isn't loud, it's elevated. No revenge, no look what you lost monologues, no passive aggressive Instagram stories hoping he notices, just you becoming more radiant, more focused, more magnetic than ever without him. It's like this. Imagine a man leaves a room thinking you'll follow. That's his pattern. That's the script he's used to. Pull away and she comes running. So he leaves thinking your panic is power in his hands. But then silence, no chase, no crying, just stillness. And then he hears laughter, your laughter down the hall, not forced, not performative, just life moving on, your life blossoming. He checks his phone, nothing. He refreshes, still nothing. And that's when the panic starts, not because you're gone, but because you're okay. You see, his ego never feared your anger. It feared your indifference. It feared the version of you that doesn't orbit around him, that doesn't flinch at his silence, that doesn't look back. And the beauty of this, it's not about making him suffer. It's not about playing games. It's about reclaiming your center, the place you gave away too freely for too long, the place where your joy no longer depends on whether he texts back, shows up, or finally gets it. You don't need closure. You don't need the last word. Your growth is the final chapter. Your glow is the goodbye. Let him feel the weight of your absence. Let it echo. Let it haunt. Let it humble him. Because a man may forget the words you yelled in frustration, but he will never forget the silence of the woman who walked away with peace in her eyes and power in her step. Stay close, because next we're stepping into the final transformation, becoming untouchable, not because you've hardened, but because you've healed. Number 8, you become irresistible when you become untouchable. The more you try to be unforgettable, the more you lose yourself. But when you finally forget to try, he never forgets you again. There's a sacred irony in attraction. The moment you stop needing it, it starts pouring in, not because the universe is playing games, but because desire doesn't flow toward desperation. It flows toward presence, toward women who no longer ask, am I enough? Because they know they are. My friends, the truth is simple but hard to swallow. You don't become irresistible by trying harder. You don't become unforgettable by giving more. You become magnetic the day you stop living on emotional credit, hoping that love will validate your worth, and start embodying love as something that radiates from you, not to you. And imagine a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships. It stands tall, unwavering, glowing in the dark. Some ships are drawn in, others sail by, but the light, it never dims, never begs, never moves. That's you now. You've stopped chasing. You've stopped explaining yourself to men who don't have the emotional maturity to understand you. You've stopped giving discounts on your presence to someone who only shows up on sale days. You've stepped into a new energy, untouchable, not unreachable. And when I say untouchable, I don't mean you're cold or closed. I mean you've become so full within yourself that no man's attention can inflate you, and no man's absence can deflate you. That energy, that sovereignty, it bends the ego. Because the man who once relied on your reassurance now finds himself craving your attention, unsure of how to earn it. The woman he used to predict has become a mystery. The version of you that needed his love is gone. And in her place stands someone who embodies it. No longer available to validate his ego, you now challenge it. And in that tension between what he can't control and what he deeply desires, you live rent-free in his mind. That's the paradox. The less effort you put into being unforgettable, the more unforgettable you become. Not because of manipulation, but because you've risen into your natural frequency. You are no longer trying to be the woman of his dreams. You are the woman of your own. So stay in this energy, keep rising, because this isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of a new one where you don't just attract love, you attract devotion. And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of the power you forgot you had, press that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with another woman who needs to hear it. And remember, you are not here to be touched and tamed. You are here to be felt, remembered, and respected, untouchable, because you finally touched your own soul first. And so here's the truth, my friends. You don't need to chase, prove, or perform to be worthy of love. The moment you stop feeding his ego and start honoring your essence, everything shifts. You become the mystery he can't ignore, the presence he craves, the woman who moves differently because she no longer moves for validation. If this message woke something up inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more truth and power, and share it with a sister who's ready to stop performing and start radiating. Your story changes the moment you do. Stay rising.